Welcome back to Clarity Compass, where we break down complex research terms into simple, practical lessons. In today's episode, we are talking about one of the most flexible and commonly used types of literature reviews, the narrative literature review. Before we begin, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and tap the bell icon so you never miss a step in your academic journey. Today's video is divided into 4 parts. What is narrative literature review? Purpose of it, when to use it, and how to write narrative literature review. What is a narrative literature review? Imagine you're trying to tell someone the whole story about how scholars have thought about your topic over time. That's what a narrative literature review does. It's like being a storyteller, but your characters are researchers, and your plot is how ideas have grown, changed, or clashed. You are not counting numbers or calculating averages. You're connecting ideas, identifying patterns, pointing out contradictions, and explaining what is missing. All this in your own words. A narrative review doesn't follow a strict method like a systematic review. It gives you freedom, but with responsibility, to build an argument using what others have said. Let's walk through a real example together. Imagine your topic is how online learning impacts student motivation in higher education. In a narrative review, you don't just say 10 researchers found this, 5 researchers found that. That's not helpful. Instead, you tell the story of the research journey over time and across perspectives. Your first step will be establishing historical context. For this topic, let's take early research from 2000s. Studies back then focused on the benefits of online learning, mostly in Western universities. They said things like flexibility in timing, self-paced learning, or access to global resources. All this will help in learning at your own pace, and you have access to all the resources from all over the world. Researchers celebrated how online platforms like Moodle or Blackboard helped students balance work and study. We can say that this was the tech optimism phase. Now highlight the shift in the perspectives. Take the time of 2020 to 2021, COVID-19 era. That time, researchers have a big shift in their tone. Studies during the pandemic started reporting screen fatigue, lack of personal interaction, drop in emotional and academic motivation. Students said, I'm not learning, I'm just logging in. Research began discussing issues like Zoom burnout, lack of accountability, reduced teacher engagement. In step 3, add recent and mixed findings, positive and negative both. Some newer studies now say motivation can increase if tools are interactive. Gamified learning, quizzes, and timely feedback make a difference. But many of these studies focused on private universities, urban population. Here comes the most important step, gap spotting. Now, as a researcher, ask yourself, what is missing from all this? What is underexplored? Let's find out the possible research gaps. First gap is gap by population. It's okay if you don't know these types of gaps. After literature review series, we are going to focus on the types of research gaps. Okay? So first gap by population. What about students in rural or semi-urban colleges? Do they even have stable internet or motivation support? Second gap, which is by discipline. Most studies focus on science and tech. What about the students from arts and humanities? Research gap by method. Most studies use survey method. Only few studies have in-depth interviews to explore motivation emotionally. And finally, gap by culture. Mostly literature is from Western countries. What about Indian context? And this is where the magic of the narrative review happens. You're not just summarizing, you're comparing what's been said, spotting what is missing, and then saying, here is where my study fits in. So you can say, Based on this review, there is a clear need to explore how online learning affects student motivation among undergraduate art students in semi-urban Indian college using qualitative method. Boom! That's your research gap. Now, what is the purpose of narrative review? The goal of narrative review is to give you an overview of key research in your area, the main arguments. It helps you in identifying the trends, agreements, disagreements, the conflicts, and also pointing out what is missing or yet to be explored. It helps you in laying the theoretical foundation, conceptual foundation for your own study. In short, it connects the dots between what's been said already and what needs to be said next. Let's say you are exploring how social media influences youth political engagement in India. And now how will you conduct your narrative review? First, you will explore what past studies have said about youth activism and digital platforms. Then you will discuss about digital democracy or participatory culture, your theories, and highlight the case studies like 2019 CAA protest or climate strikes led by school students. Then you will identify what hasn't been studied, what is yet to be explored. Maybe rural youth voices are not included, or gender-based digital exclusion is still there. This gives your reader both a context and a gap. Two things every research study needs. Alright, here is the question you might be asking right now. Do I really need a narrative review? Or should I be doing something more technical like a systematic review? Great question. Let's figure that out together. Use a narrative literature review when you are just starting your research journey and your goal is to understand the bigger picture. Not prove something yet, just explore, compare, and reflect. For example, imagine you're working on your MPhil or PhD synopsis and your guide asks, what's already been done on your topic? You don't need to run 15 databases and write a perfect style analysis. What you need is to connect the dots, tell a story, and lay the foundation of your research topic. It's also a perfect choice when your topic is interdisciplinary, like gender and media, or health and culture, qualitative or theoretical research. When you are dealing with meanings, not measurements, the areas which are still emerging, yet to be explored. So it is basically used in exploratory researches where structured data is limited but ideas are plenty. Okay? So if your research question is big, cultural, or still evolving, a narrative review is your best friend. The most important part, how to write it. How to write a narrative review. Let me show you. In a way you won't forget. Think of it like this. You're making a documentary about your topic and here is your script outline. Scene 1. The big question. What topic are you exploring and why it is important? Scene 2. The experts speak. Experts are those the big names in your research area. What they have already said about it. Then organize their findings by theme, not just one by one, but as part of a larger conversation. Moving to scene 3, where is the drama? Where do researchers disagree? Where are the gaps? What's not been talked about? And then, final, scene 4, your turn to speak. Now show where your study fits in. What's new perspective or questions you are adding? Use subheadings to guide your readers and write in your own voice. Academic, yes, but also clear and reflective. So what are the key takeaways? A narrative literature review offers a flexible and interpretive approach to reviewing existing research. It allows you to summarize key ideas and debates, helps you in identifying gaps in knowledge, and build a conceptual or theoretical foundation for your own study. That's the narrative literature review, your first step to build a strong, idea driven foundation for your research. That's a wrap for today. In the next episode, we will talk about the systematic review, where structure and evidence take center stage. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Until next time, keep reading, keep reflecting, and happy researching. See you next week.